Welcome to Life by Design with Janette podcast. I'm Janette Mondon, transformational life coach, emotional healing practitioner, and real result expert. And this podcast is all about helping people move from living life by default to living life by design. This podcast is called How Releasing Control Can Open the Door to Peace, Joy, and the Life You Truly Love. Today, we're going to talk about something that quietly steals peace from so many people. Expectations. Expectations of how life should go, how people should act, how quickly things should happen, how relationships should look, how success should feel, how healing should happen. And the truth is, sometimes the tighter we hold on to expectations, the more suffering we create for ourselves. But what if letting go didn't mean giving up? What if letting go actually created freedom? Freedom to breathe. Freedom to enjoy life again. Freedom to stop fighting reality. Freedom to trust that something greater may still be unfolding. Today, we're going to talk about why expectations create emotional pain, the difference between vision and attachment, how control keeps us stuck, and how surrender can actually create more joy, peace, and abundance in your life. So grab a notebook, take a deep breath, and let's dive in. Most people don't realize how much emotional exhaustion comes from expectations, not circumstances, expectations. We expect our spouse to understand us perfectly, our kids to make certain choices, friends to show up the way we would, careers to fulfill us, life to feel fair, healing to happen quickly, and dreams to happen on our timeline. And when reality doesn't match the pictures in our mind, we suffer. Not because life is always terrible, but because life is different from what we expected. There's a quote that says, "Expectation is the fastest way to create disappointment." And honestly, there's so much truth in that. Now, let me be clear. Having dreams is beautiful. Having a vision for your life is powerful. But there's a difference between holding a vision and being emotionally attached to exactly how and when it must happen. One creates inspiration. The other creates anxiety. Imagine someone planning the perfect family vacation. They picture everyone is getting along, beautiful sunsets, happy memories, relaxation, perfect photos. But then the kids fight. Someone gets sick, flights are delayed, the weather changes, and suddenly the entire trip feels ruined. Why? Because reality didn't match the expectation. But what if they had stayed open instead? What if they allowed the trip to become what it became instead of mourning what it wasn't? That shift can change everything. And the same thing happens in your life. Sometimes we miss beautiful moments because we're grieving the version we expected. This is one of the biggest places where expectations create pain. Relationships. We often create silent contracts in our minds. I would do this for them. They should do this for me. They should know what I need. If they loved me, they would act differently. And then resentment builds, not always because the other person is wrong, but because we created an expectation they never agreed to. That realization can be uncomfortable, but it is also freeing because when we release the need to control others, we reclaim our emotional peace. You can still have standards. You can still communicate needs. You can still choose healthy boundaries. But expectation that demands people become who we need them to be often creates suffering. Sometimes love looks like releasing control. Sometimes peace comes from accepting people the way they are, not approving of everything, but accepting reality. Ask yourself, where in my life am I fighting reality? Who am I trying to control? What expectation is stealing my peace? Because awareness is the beginning of freedom. One of the hardest truths in life is this: we control far less than we think we do. And honestly, that can feel terrifying at first, but eventually it becomes liberating because so much anxiety comes from trying to manage outcomes we were never meant to control. We try to predict everything, prevent pain, force timing, make people understand us, control circumstances, and we exhaust ourselves doing it. But surrender doesn't mean becoming passive. It means releasing the emotional grip. It means saying, I will do my part, but I will stop trying to force life. That's Powerful. There's a huge difference between intention and obsession, vision and attachment, desire and desperation. When we cling too tightly, we create resistance. Sometimes the very thing we want cannot arrive because we are gripping so hard in fear. Think about holding sand in your hand. If your hand is open gently, the sand stays. But if you squeeze tightly trying to control it, it slips through your fingers. Life often works the same way. This is important. Letting go of expectations does not mean stop dreaming, stop caring, stop creating goals, stop believing for more. Not at all. Actually, some of the most powerful people in the world hold strong visions while remaining flexible about the path. That's the key. You can say, I would love this outcome without saying, my happiness depends on it happening exactly this way. That's emotional freedom. You can desire something deeply without attaching your worth to it. And honestly, this is where peace lives. Because when you release attachment, you become more present, more joyful, more resilient, more trusting, more open to unexpected miracles. And sometimes life has something even better than we imagined, but we can't see it because we're staring at the closed door. There's so much peace on the other side of surrender. Not passive surrender, not hopeless surrender, trust-filled surrender. The kind that says, I trust that life is still unfolding for me. I trust there can still be purpose in this season. I trust that delays do not mean denial. I trust that my worth is not attached to outcomes. That kind of surrender changes your nervous system. It softens anxiety. It opens space for gratitude. It allows joy back into your life. And often, ironically, when we stop gripping so tightly, life begins flowing again. Opportunities appear. Ideas come. Relationships heal. Energy shifts. Not because we forced it, but because we finally stopped resisting what is. Today, I want you to make 2 lists. 1, write down expectations that are draining you, outcomes you're trying to force, and things you feel emotionally attached to controlling. Again, first list, expectations that are draining you, outcomes you're trying to force, things you feel emotionally attached to controlling. Then ask yourself, what would it feel like to loosen my grip? On the second list, I want you to write down what you still desire, what you would love, and the vision still inside your heart. Again, that's what you still desire, what you would love, and the vision still inside your heart. Because we are not abandoning dreams, we are simply releasing fear, pressure, and control. I hope today reminded you that peace does not come from controlling everything. Peace comes from trusting yourself, trusting life, and learning to hold your dreams with openness instead of fear. Sometimes the greatest freedom in life comes when we stop demanding that life unfold exactly the way we planned, and instead, we allow ourselves to fully live. If this podcast spoke to you today, share it with someone who may need encouragement right now. And if you're ready to move from living life by default to living life by design, I would love to invite you to one of my free online vision workshops. You can find upcoming workshops and more information at lifecoachingwithjanette.com. Again, that's lifecoachingwithjanette, JANETTE.com. And remember to ask yourself, what would you love? Until next time, keep dreaming, keep growing, and keep designing a life you would truly love.